Story time. So some time ago, someone shared a very interesting story with me, and I'm super excited to share it with you guys. But first, we must discuss my merchandise. It says APST, which stands for Ashley Page Story Time. Wonderful. It's a yellow kind of windbreaker hoodie thing. I don't know. It's cute. I've posted pictures on my Patreon. Become a member. I will be posting more pictures on my story on IG. I will be doing giveaways of my merch. I will be doing giveaways of the special nursing shoes of the Clove brand. Look it up. They're super cute. I have some super bright pink ones. I don't know why I can't talk. I will be posting those as well. Just hop on all of my platforms. I don't want you guys to miss out on all the giveaways and the fun exclusive things that I have going on for y'all. Click the link in my little blurb. And for those of you who have joined my Patreon and became subscribers and have been commenting and supporting me, thank you. Let this story begin. Anyways, as I was saying, sometime ago, we will call this person Soraya. Soraya shared a very interesting story with me, and so that is the main character, okay? She wanted me to go ahead and sprinkle my little story time spin on it. That's what I'm gonna do, okay? Soraya, main character. Michelle is another character, and Mo is the third main character. Remember all of those names. So who's Soraya? Soraya is a CNA who works at a hospital on a maternal newborn unit. Yeah, fine. Maternal newborn unit. And then, let's see. Michelle is the nurse. Okay? And Mo is a name that you need to remember. We'll talk about Mo more later. So, now, sometimes in certain hospitals, maternal newborn units aren't just for women who just gave birth. Sometimes it's also for women with gynecological issues, just GYN issues. And sometimes, obviously, women who have suffered miscarriages are also placed on those units. So it's not just happy-go-lucky, we just had a baby, we're also happy, okay? There are some other things that go on that, isn't all that happy-go-lucky. All right, all that's understood. So now Michelle, the nurse that I told you guys about, is the type of nurse that shares all of her business with everybody, asks everybody their advice, and shares everybody's advice with everybody about everything that she's asking about. She just has no qualms. Soraya, the CNA, is friendly, she's cordial, but nobody knows anything about her personal life. She comes to work, goes home. Again, she talks to people, but she doesn't go out with the coworkers. She doesn't invite the coworkers over or invite the coworkers out. She communicates with them at work while she's there. When she's not there, you don't know what's going on with her. Period. So anytime she works with Michelle, you can bet your bottom dollar you will hear about Michelle's dating chronicles. But this time, Michelle's been talking about the same person consistently. I mean, consistently. Like, it became a point where Soraya was beginning to assume that the behavior, the rate at which she discussed to this other person she was dating, Mo, perhaps there was a bit of an obsession going on. Soraya didn't put her 2 cents in. You put your 2 cents in, that gets you drawn in. People start asking you more questions. Michelle will start asking her more of her advice. She didn't want that, okay? Go to work, go home. This went on for maybe about 6 to 8 weeks, where Michelle found a way to talk about the person she was dating. Now, obviously, even if you're not even tuned in to what Michelle is saying, you're going to know what's going on because Michelle talks to everybody. And people talk. People will talk. So based on what Soraya was hearing, there was uncertainty in the situationship going on between Mo and Michelle. And Michelle was simply just having a hard time letting go, and she was in denial. She really liked Mo, probably more than Mo liked her. So fast forward to one particular night, they work night shift. Michelle is walking around the unit and she's not really saying much. Now, there isn't like a black cloud of doom and gloom and rain. It's just clear that she's not in a good mood because she's not talking as nearly as much. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. So what Soraya noticed is that Michelle was asking her to go into a specific room often. Let's call it room 22. Okay. And a lot of times when a nurse does that with the CNA, it's because that patient is probably very hands-on, heavy load. So she'll try to find a way to maybe ask Soraya to go in, and then she'll go in just so that she doesn't spend the entire shift in that one patient's room, taking her away from all of her other patients. But something that Soraya noticed was that this patient wasn't difficult at all. And it didn't take up a whole lot of Soraya's time to get things done with this patient. This was one of the patients that did not just have a baby, but unfortunately did have gynecological issues that needed to be taken care of. So the husband was in there, 2-year-old son was in there, mom was in there, just as a support system, and this patient was due to be discharged during day shift. Finally, the patient asks a question that the nurse needed to answer. The CNA, Soraya, could not answer that question. So she says, give me a second, let me get your nurse. A lot of times, patients don't always understand that not everybody that walks in scrubs is a nurse. So they assume that everybody was a nurse. So when she told the patient, let me go get the nurse, the patient was like, oh, sorry, I thought you were the nurse, no? And so Soraya explained, no, I'm the CNA. You're assigned to a nurse. I'll go get the nurse. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. And she seemed slightly uncomfortable with the idea of going to go get the nurse. Soraya steps out. She goes and she finds Michelle. She tells Michelle is visibly uncomfortable with going in the room 22. And so now Soraya is beginning to put 2 and 2 together, and she's like, oh, I hope that Michelle wasn't having an affair with this lady's husband. And with how uncomfortable the woman got, I feel like she probably knows more than Michelle knows. And that's probably where all that uncertainty was coming from. Or that, you know, the sadness, everything is coming together now. That's why she doesn't want to go into room 22. That's why the patient thought that she was the nurse. And obviously, Michelle had to have gone in that room at some point in order to see that she was what she was dealing with. And that's why, you know, the patient got a little uncomfortable. And so the husband starts to walk down the hallway. And Michelle gets up and makes a beeline, and that confirms all of Soraya's suspicions. And so the husband isn't coming over to say anything inappropriate or strange. He just says, hey, am I allowed to give my wife such and such to drink? I'm going to go downstairs to go get, I don't know, coffee or Coke or whatever. And so Soraya looks at another nurse at the nurse's station because, again, Soraya doesn't want to answer certain questions that seem to be nurse related. The nurse says, yes, that's fine. He heads downstairs. Soraya makes a beeline around the corner to follow Michelle and basically says, look, you got to go in there at some point. I am not a nurse. You know I'm not a nurse. They know I'm not a nurse. I can't answer these questions. If you're really that uncomfortable, why don't you switch the assignment? And so Michelle is like, I tried. Nobody wants to do it. They're happy with their assignments. They've been taking care of those patients for the past 3 days. A lot of nurses like to stick with the patients that they've had, especially if they were working back-to-back 12-hour shifts. Don't mess with my assignment. It'll mess me up. Just let me stick to what I had. So nobody wanted to switch with her. Everybody wanted to keep the patients they've had for the last 3 nights or 2 nights. So Soraya's like, look, if you're trying to avoid the husband, which it seems like you are, he just ran downstairs to get her something to drink. So now's your time to go in there and answer her questions. And so then Michelle says, the husband? I didn't date the husband. I dated her. I didn't know she was married with a kid. And so then Soraya realized that she was both wrong and right at the same time. So, anyways, you guys should just go ahead and slide on over to my Patreon. I don't know if I said that. Oh, and so, yeah. Michelle does go into the room, and it takes about 30 seconds for Michelle to just come right on back out in tears. It turned into a whole dramatic thing. The husband comes back into the room, steps back out. Soraya's not going in there, and is inquiring about why his wife is crying. It ended up being a sticky situation. There is no charge. Well, there is a charge nurse. There's no supervisor during the night shift. So the charge nurse ended up having to take the patient once Michelle ended up, like I said, coming clean to the charge nurse about everything that's going on, because Michelle, again, does not have any qualms about people knowing her business. It didn't seem like the husband ended up finding out, according to the way the story ended, according to the way the situation was portrayed to me, but that's all I got for y'all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Also, check out my other editor, Ruvision Productions, and Blake Quake Beats. They're an excellent, excellent team. Thanks, guys.